Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have 3 more recipes. Recipes for one in your rice cooker. All right, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire. Welcome, come on in, make yourself comfortable. If you're not new here, you know Jasmine. This is my rice cooker. I use it all the time, but especially when I'm cooking for just myself. Even though I have kids and a husband, I'm usually on my own for lunch, and my husband also travels for work. So this week I was on my own for dinner as well a couple times, like the extracurricular nights when my kids are out doing stuff. I also had to make some dinner for myself. So I usually use the rice cooker because I like it to be budget friendly, I like it to be healthy, I like it to be easy, and I don't like cleaning. So, I mean, this really encapsulates all of that. So basically, anytime I used it this week, I just recorded it. So I have 3 recipes for you. And because I will inevitably get some questions on it, my rice cooker is a Black & Decker 6-cup. I will leave a link to it down below. But you can use any rice cooker. Mine is one of the simple ones that just has like a cook and warm function. Nothing fancy, very affordable, and has really done well for me for a very long time. So that's the one I'm working with. No pressure. Use whatever one you have or you can find, at the thrift store or the clearance rack. And with that, let's get going on these 3 new recipes. All right, the first meal I made are these delicious pot stickers with rice. I'm starting out with brown rice today, and the ratio for generally any rice is 1-to-1. 1 part rice to 1 part water. I'm doing 1/4 of a cup because I knew I was going to make other stuff with this, and I didn't want like a full serving of rice. It would just be like too much. I'm also throwing a bunch of edamame in there. Edamame is such a superfood. It's super high in fiber and protein. It's really, really good. I'm doing 1/2 a teaspoon of onion powder, ginger, and garlic powder, all 3 of those. I'm also throwing in just a little bit of pepper and a little bit of salt. I will leave all this down below for you. And my toasted sesame oil, 1 teaspoon of that. It's like my secret ingredient. I use it so often. It is a staple in my kitchen. Next, I'm using my little steamer basket. If you don't have a steamer basket with your rice cooker, it's okay. You can put your pot stickers right in the water. The skin of them is just going to not be quite as, firm. It will just get like a little soggier, but it will work. So don't worry. I just plugged that in and moved it to the cook function. And after it reaches a certain temperature, it turns off automatically. And then I plated it up. And the best part about this, you guys, you could make this so many different ways. You don't have to use pot stickers. You could use dumplings, wontons, ravioli, pierogies. Seriously, like every culture has a great noodly situation with something good inside. You can make it in a rice cooker. The rice was perfectly done. And if you know me, if you follow me, you know I had to hit it with a little of that Aldi Japanese barbecue sauce. Also one of my favorites. And there we go. So filling, so full of protein and fiber. I just had to show you inside. It worked perfectly. These pot stickers are from Costco, and they are so tasty. All right, next we have this delicious, hearty chicken vegetable soup. I'm starting off with 1 cup of chicken broth. Guys, I made this myself. I canned it myself. That's why it's really cloudy, because it's homemade. Don't worry about it. I've also got some onion soup mix. I love onion soup mix. There is so much flavor in that little pouch. I'm using 1/2 the pouch. It's really an ingredient you should keep around. Next, for my chicken, I'm actually using canned chicken. I love canned chicken because it is so accessible. It can sit on the counter until I'm ready. I can use it without worrying about cooking it. It's really nice, but I think, especially if you're not into canned chicken, I think a soup is the perfect way to use it because you definitely cannot tell it was canned when you eat the soup. So I'm using 1/2 of that. You could also use, a rotisserie chicken or whatever. I'm also throwing in vegetables. We have 1/2 a cup of frozen veg. I'm also adding some shredded hash browns. If you've never used frozen potatoes in a soup, you totally should. They get nice and tender and add a great little extra texture there. I'm putting in pepper and Italian seasoning. I'm not putting in salt, you guys, because that onion soup mix, it's got a lot of stuff in it and it's very salty. So you do not want this to be over salted. So don't add salt if you're using the onion soup mix.
I cooked it as long as it needed to. You know, it's all automatic. It switched to warm when it hit the right temperature, and we were ready to go. And guys, this is such a hearty, comforting, fall-y, wintry meal. I'm like super into soup right now. It's finally getting cold. So I'm like all about the soup life. And it was perfect. Filled my belly. All right, next. Controversial take. We have an Italian style quinoa. Not things you usually put together that often, but I get bored doing the same thing all the time. So I decided to try it. For quinoa in the rice cooker, the ratio is 2 to 1. 2 parts liquid, 1 part quinoa. I used a third of a cup. And guys, look at this. I'm using my chicken broth from the day before because I don't waste anything. So keep that in mind when you're cooking. What can I do with this thing tomorrow? There you go. Next, even though it is getting fall-y outside, I still have a tomato plant that is still giving me tomatoes. So I just went outside and grabbed whatever red ones I found on the vine. And the big ones I'm slicing in half, and the little ones I'm putting in whole. I love a tomato. If you don't have fresh tomatoes, though, you can use a can of crushed tomatoes or diced tomatoes. And also, look how tiny that tomato is. I couldn't believe how small it was. It was so cute. Anyway, handful of tomatoes. Now we're doing like a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. We're also going to throw a teaspoon of minced garlic in there. Some of my favorite flavors. A little bit of sea salt. And a little bit of pepper. And of course, yesterday's chicken, because I have the other half of that can. And now we haven't wasted anything, and we've made a completely different dish out of some of the same ingredients, which is so great when you are on a budget. Wasting food is the worst thing to do if you're trying to save money. So I just flipped it over to the cook function, waited the 20-ish minutes. I did go grab some basil out of the yard because that's still going strong. And then I decided at the last second I was going to add some cheese on this. I know quinoa and cheese is something we don't see together that often, but I'm going to make a case for it here because I have this fresh mozzarella slices. I just like sliced it up and I put it on top. And now I'm not cooking it on a news cycle. I'm just keeping it right on the warm function just as it is. And then I just covered it for a couple minutes. And that's all it took, just to soften the cheese a little bit. We don't need it all like roasted and bubbling, but just, soft-ish. Ugh, so tasty. I actually was really surprised how well quinoa did with the Italian flavors. It is just a very neutral product, and I really should be trying to use it in more ways. And honestly, I didn't even need to add that cheese. The amount of protein in that bowl is probably actually ridiculous. I didn't calculate it, but it's huge, and I couldn't even finish this bowl. I was stuffed.
All right, you guys, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my recipes. I know this was kind of a short one, but the recipes were really that easy, so it didn't really take that long to make this video. So I hope you enjoyed them. Let me know what you think down below. And if you need some extra rice cooker inspiration, I do have a playlist of all of my rice cooker videos. I will leave that down below for your viewing pleasure. Shout out to our girl Jasmine for, again, making my life so easy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!